What's up gamers and hello YouTube. In today's video we're talking about the biggest mistakes the devs are making with Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone 3. In the previous video we already talked about the biggest changes they've made, the good changes they've made, but in today's video we're talking about the biggest mistakes. If you haven't already checked out the last video, go and check that one out, and while you're at it, like, comment and subscribe because that will help me out a lot. Now I have to be completely honest, I spent a few days just asking people in their chats, asking in my own chat, which I stream every day over on Twitch, follow me over there if you want to, and in Discord, asking about the new game and their first impressions and what makes them worried about the new game and the Warzone integration. And to be honest, there wasn't much they could note, so there isn't that much wrong with the game. There's like a few minor things that I would like to see tweaked, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. And we're starting with the Stronghold to Black Site loop. Inside of Warzone 2 right now, there's a certain loop that everybody goes through, and that is going to a Stronghold, getting your loadout, and after that you also get a UAV ping, which gives you more awareness around you that you might have not had in the initial start of the game, which is super corny in my opinion. And then you go to the Black Site, and with the Black Site you get an advanced UAV, an armor or muni box, which sets you up for the game. And later on you also get the massive circle of a UAV, which sometimes is like half the zone, giving you all the awareness you need inside of the zone, and you don't even have to worry about game sense anymore. And in my opinion, there's another big factor about these strongholds and Black Sites, and that is the fact that they are strongholds in the literal sense. What do I mean with that? It's basically those buildings are already strong positions on the map, but because of the stronghold and Black Site thing, they are also one-way entry buildings now, which makes it super hard to push, makes it super hard to kill a team that already has all that awareness about you rotating in. It's super corny in my opinion. It reduces the skill gap, and I would love to see it change. Now there's two ways I can see this change. Either take out the strongholds and Black Sites entirely, which I don't think they will ever do, but then my second option is remove the UAV pings. Maybe drop a regular UAV on the stronghold and then an advanced UAV on the Black Site, and that's it. I would not like to see those endless UAV pings from strongholds and Black Sites, because anybody that's doing a nuke, anybody that's playing ranked is going for those places because they're so good. And once again, it reduces the skill gap massively, so I would love to see that change so we can actually play a game where you have to think about what you're doing. On to change number 2, movement. And I know what you're thinking, hey Jamer, didn't you guess movement in the last video? I did, but there were still problems with the movement then, and there still are problems with the movement right now. First of all, Sledgehammer is already looking into the slide cancel delay. If you didn't know, in the Modern Warfare 3 beta, if you slide canceled right before you actually slid and right after you slid, there was a slight delay causing you not to sprint, not to tag sprint, or not to jump. They are gonna fix this, so that's a huge W. Shout out to Sledgehammers for actually listening to the community, but there's a few things I think they can change to make the movement even better, even crispier. First off, I think they should bring back bunny hops, because bunny hops in my opinion are crucial to Warzone. If you're in the open and you're sliding around, it's really easy for people to track you because you're only moving on a horizontal basis. But if you hit a horizontal slide to the left into a vertical plus horizontal D-hop to the right, it's way harder to track you because you're not only moving horizontally, you're also moving vertically. Plus the speed of a bunny hop is usually greater than the speed of a slide. This makes it a bigger skill gap, and it will actually help you outmaneuver and outplay some of the enemies. Now inside of Warzone 1, you could hit a quadruple bunny hop where you could just hit a nasty slide into a jump and you would just move like crazy and hit 4 bunny hops in a row. I don't think we need that. I at least want a single or maybe even 2 bunny hops in a row. That would make a world of a difference and increase the skill gap by a ton. Another mistake within movement is that they are not giving a purpose to dolphin dives. Right now, if you're dolphin diving, it's usually only to pull out your parachute or maybe to get into cover, but honestly, there's not much of a use for dolphin dive. They could change this by just giving us the ability to shoot while dolphin diving and also make us do the dolphin hop again. I know this is like a little niche one, because not many people are doing it, and it's kind of a fun, like really tough skill gap, high reward, high risk kind of vibe. I would love to see that return alongside shooting while diving, because then we actually have a purpose for dolphin diving. Right now, it's a really cool mechanic that nobody really is using except for pulling out a parachute. Like, what are we doing right now? And finally, they should increase the speeds on both strafe speed and ADS when jumping. Because right now, if you ADS while jumping, it takes 3 times as long as when you're standing still, which is way too long. In my opinion, this can be shaved down to like 2 times as long, and even then it's kind of horrendous, but it's way better than what it is now, because I do understand that there needs to be a difference between standing still and jumping, but this difference is just too much. And yes, I'm aware there's perks in the game that will help out with your strafe speed, that will help out with improve your ADS and jumping, but at the same time, I feel like the base game should feel amazing, should have you feeling like you can do anything in the game. But then if you want to put on a perk, like customize your gameplay, you should also be able to do that. So in my opinion, the base game should feel like the perks feel right now. And then if you add on a perk, it should have you feel like FFAR's Tracy. Like it should have you feel absolutely cracked out like a demon, and that will only further like different playstyles and will only further the skill gap and will only further the gameplay experience. I feel like the base game right now just isn't enough, and they just need to buff it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, and then we're in a really, really good spot. Mistake number 3 is the health regen. Inside of Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2, and the Modern Warfare 3 beta, it takes about 4 seconds for you to fully regen your health, which means that for an entire 4 seconds, you're a sitting duck just waiting on people to kill you, which doesn't feel good at all. And obviously, we're gonna get quick fix, we're gonna get stims, so there's other ways around this problem, but I think the base game should feel a little bit better than it's gonna feel right now. So I would like this number to be changed to like 2 seconds or even 3 seconds. Just give us anything basically, because 4 seconds is an eternity inside of an FPS game like Call of Duty. Change number 4 is actually one of the new mechanics inside of the game. They just introduced this and it's called the tech stance. It's somewhere in between hipfire and ADS in terms of movement, in terms of accuracy, but in all honesty, it doesn't look that great. It's just too inaccurate for it to be really good, and you don't move that much faster. So in all honesty, I wouldn't even touch it. Sometimes you're forced into it though if you don't have a specific perk, which makes it really awkward and clunky. And besides that, it's also really hard to toggle on controller. And since most of the community is based on a console, it's actually kind of dumb to have something that hard to do on controller be in the game. Because right now, if you want to do it on controller, you have to press down on your D-pad, which means for PS4 controllers, you can hold it claw and then maybe do it. But on PS5 controllers and even on Xbox controllers, it's going to be really hard to love. And I don't see it becoming the meta or anything good in the game. So they either need to buff it or absolutely remove it, because right now it just feels clunky and awkward. Mistake number 5 is actually one that breaks my heart a little bit, and that is the gas. The gas right now in Warzone 3 and Modern Warfare 3 integration seems to tick instantly, and it will keep on ticking without any pauses. Whereas in Warzone 2 and Warzone 1, it seemed to tick and then take a little pause before ticking again. This plus the addition of like how stims worked in Warzone 2, hopefully they changed that, where if you stimmed, you wouldn't regen your health up until full HP, but it would just stop whenever it would tick again, which causes you to maybe stim at like 1% health, and you might end up with 10% health, which is not enough to make a gas play. I hope they revert these changes and bring back the gas plays we all know and love, because some of the best clips in Warzone 1 were gas play clips. So hopefully they change that. If not, it's going to be really tough to do anything in the gas without a durable gas mask. Number 6 is one that I don't really see people talk about that often, and that is the contract pool. Right now, the contracts have basically been the same since forever. We have a couple of new ones like the safecrackers that are replacing scavengers, or the intel that's replacing recon, and we haven't really had any new additions to the contract pool. Whereas I think a lot of contracts could be really creative, really fun, and they can go really wild with it and make a fun gameplay experience, especially for casual players that are just playing the game and then doing a contract. That was a lot of fun back in the day. Like I remember just going for supply runs, scavengers, most wanteds. Like my friends and I used to love picking up a random contract and doing them. So I would love to see them change the way contracts work and change the contracts that are available, as well as add something cool like for 1,000 bounties completed, you get this reward. Like make a new weapon camo, new operator skin. Like there's so many things they can do with contracts that I don't see them doing. And I wish we would go a little bit more creative, a little bit more fun, a little bit more wild with some of these contracts. The 7th change is a really obvious one. It's the vehicles. The vehicles inside of El Masra and later on with the Modern Warfare 3 integration are just really, really bad. Unless you're driving the Hummer is really good. But other than that, all the vehicles kind of suck, and it's kind of tough to have a vehicle meta when they're that bad. And I really do hope that we go back to the old Warzone 1 days where you could actually drive a vehicle up the hill without any issues. Number 8, balancing. I think balancing is in a tough spot right now. I'm worried that the no recoil ARs are coming back, because in Modern Warfare 3 beta, it seems like the no recoil ARs are the best ones at longer ranges inside of ground war. Obviously, we haven't seen the full game yet, so we haven't experienced all the good guns yet, and Warzone is still a long ways away, but I do hope they kind of balance it correctly, or to like the high skill guns are the ones that are killing the fastest, and the low skill guns are the ones that kill the slowest. Other than that, I do hope that these semi-auto rifles, like the snipers inside of Modern Warfare 3 beta, are not one-shot headshots inside of Warzone, because if something is a semi-auto, you can just keep on firing and wiping entire teams without reloading. I think that's entirely broken, and I do hope they change that a little bit. The second issue with balancing is actually kill streaks. Right now, the bomb drone is one-hitting again. Inside of Warzone 2, they changed that to where it does 299 damage, so you're actually left 1E. I hope they change that to like 150 or 200 200 damage. So you actually have a little bit of life left, unless like you're already in an engagement and then they bomb drone you, then you might die. But like right now it's just too easy to get killed after somebody bomb drones you. I hope they change that a little bit or change entirely. And then the second kill streak they need to change is the cluster mine. Inside of Warzone 2, if you run into a building, most likely you won't even know that there is a cluster mine laying around unless you run into it and then you're stuck, because all the way around you there's cluster mine explosives. Even if you shoot out the main part of the cluster mine, you still have these little parts around it that you also have to shoot out, otherwise you run into an explosive. I would love to see that change where if you shoot out the main part, it's actually gone. I hope they change the visibility so it's a little bit more visible that there is a cluster mine, because right now it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to mitigate when you run into a building and there's a cluster mine. Mistake number 9 is once again one I talked about in the previous video. It's the map. In the previous video I hyped it up. I do think it's a really good map. There's some issues with the map that I see becoming a really big problem inside of Warzone. Right now it seems that some of these buildings have a one-way entry or like a two-way entry that's really easy to camp, and I would love to see them change it with extra zips, extra staircases, or maybe a redeploy nearby. But right now there's some spots on the map that are just incredibly tough to fight against. I'll show you one example right now. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is a pretty powerful spot on the map. It's basically one of the greatest power positions you can have on the new map, in my opinion at least, because right now if you look really good, you can actually see that there's no sips on this, no sips here, no sips here, no sips on the backside. There's also no staircases on the outside at any of these points. And if you look really well, you can see 2 sips on the inside over here. And maybe there's a couple of staircases in these little buildings. But if you're really paying attention, you can also see that there's holes over here. If I'm camping this roof map, my team, we're just playing placement, we're just playing for the win. We can have one guy just run around, kill wherever he sees people, snipe people. And then one guy over here, one guy over here. We sound whore the staircases. We sound whore the staircases over here. And we just watch the zips. It's really easy to hold. It's really tough to actually fight this team because as you can see, there's no high ground on this. Like there's nobody that can fight this team except for the people down low. I do hope we get more zips. I would love to see a couple more zips on this building specifically, because right now this building is basically a stronghold without being a stronghold. And then mistake number 10, and that is the loadout prices. Right now, loadouts are way too overpriced. It costs 20k to get your loadouts inside of WZ3, and that used to be 10k. So the price doubled, and then in Resurgence, it used to cost 7.5k. So it's way harder to regain right now on Resurgence. It's way harder to force your own path inside of BR, which I used to love. Like that's the reason I fell in love with Warzone. If I wanted to snipe a game, I could snipe a game because I could buy my loadout, grab the gun that I wanted. But right now, you don't really have that option unless you're buying a specific gun. But if you're buying a specific gun, you're taking money away from your team, which means your team can't get their loadout. I don't know, man. I wish we would go back to the old days of 10k loadouts. Maybe inside of ranked you can up that price to like 14, 15, maybe keep it at 16. But inside of hubs, I think we should all strive to have fun and not have a really overpriced loadout, because inside of Resurgence especially, it's really hard to regain if you don't have your loadout guns. If you're flying back in, you might get a kill and then grab his guns, but if you want to force your own path, it's really hard to regain. So hopefully they change this. I'm not sure if they ever will, but if they do, that will be a massive W. Same with the other 10 changes. If they change any of those things, this game might go from like an 8 back to a 10, because in my mind this game is already in a really good spot. I just think those little changes will actually make the difference, make the game that much better. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a comment, and let me know what you want to see next. Obviously I'm gonna play the Modern Warfare 3 beta this weekend, and I'm gonna post another video on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Hit the noti bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.